I'm so glad Gangsta is getting translated a little bit faster than it normally did on either a Thursday or a Friday. I'm glad now it's finally getting translated on a Wednesday because we get that Gangsta greatness every single week around Wednesday. And Wednesday is such a good day. There's so much great quality anime that comes out on a Wednesday. I mean, has anyone else noticed that? I mean, like, Gintama, to Gangsta, Himoto, say what you will, I love that fucking series, it's great. And then Oda Monogatari, such good anime in just one day. And Gangsta is a great way to get that action and dark and mature vibes from the series. And I have to say, I actually like the way this episode was showcased to me as a watcher, because from what I got was that Warwick, he is having like a, let's see, how to explain this. It's like he's trying to reject his father. That's what I got out of this episode, and it was foreshadowed and hinted at in last week's episode, which I couldn't believe when I noticed that little detail that was shown. Let me explain. Throughout this entire episode, when we get the flashbacks, we see how Warwick has this photographic memory. He's very intelligent, he's very smart, he's a ritzy kid, and he can read books, he can go through them really fast, and when he remembers his knowledge, photographic memory. And in the act of this, he has it to where his father is sending him teachers to study, but then Warwick's like, you don't really need to come back, because I already know this stuff. I've already read a book, and I've learned it all. And you see how, in the way he's doing this, he's trying to reject his father. He's trying to reject his father and not be around his father, because we see some slight hints of abuse, but I will get into those in just a minute. I want to talk about more of the rejection of how he's rejecting his father. In last week's episode, or a couple episodes ago, it might have been 2 episodes ago, we find out that Warwick always smokes one specific type of cigarette pack, for cigarette brand. And he always gets these cheap cigarettes. He always gets this specific cheap cigarettes. And if you think about it, it's very ironic. Why would he, of all people, since he lived in such a ritzy family that can hire these type of high-quality bodyguards like an A0, why would this dude buy such cheap cigarettes? The reason why I say this is because, or why they say this, is because he's rejecting his father. He doesn't want nothing to do with his money or anything about him. For instance, he's smoking cigarettes to instantly just become a delinquent and reject his father. But also, there's another merit to it for him. He's rejecting his father in the sense that he's not buying high-quality shit, like, cigars and stuff, and he's buying this low-tier stuff, to where he also is probably not using his father's money. So, in different ways, we get to see Warwick kind of rejecting his father. And it goes to show you what type of personality he has and what type of relationship he has with his father after witnessing this episode. But there's a lot more other details really coming to the front of the episode that we need to really look at. For one thing, there was abuse. We get to see a slight glimpse of abuse on Warwick, and we get to see it on Nicholas, which I'm going to assume that what happened to Nicholas, he probably didn't do something right or didn't do his job right, and probably the higher-ups probably that work in his little group Twilight probably beat the fucking shit out of him. One or the other. But Warwick, if I had to be a guessing man, like if I'm betting and guessing, I'm going to assume that his father beat him because he probably wasn't doing something right. He wasn't either studying right or probably caught him smoking or something really bad happened and Warwick didn't do right, and that probably is the reason why he's trying to reject his father. So the abuse, I'm assuming, is from the father, not the mercenary group. And I assume that what's going on with Nicholas, he was abused by the mercenary group because of whatever they did. The big question is what is going to happen and what leads to the point to where Warwick's father gets killed, because as we found out in last week's episode, Nicholas supposedly kills Warwick's father. And the way it's going, and the way the connection of these two were built up in this episode, especially with how Nicholas seemed very understanding, like he didn't really understand what was going on with Warwick, because, he couldn't read really well, or he couldn't speak really well, but it seemed like he was a caring person at that time, but a little bit misunderstood. It seems like maybe Warwick hired Nicholas to kill his father. That's what I'm assuming is going on. Or Twilight, the organization, the mercenary group, is probably doing something and probably were trying to kill Warwick and Warwick's father. One or the other is going on there. So that's my theory on that entire part. I'm liking that backstory because it lets us know more about Warwick and his psyche, of how he really looks at life and what led him down this path he's currently going down when it comes to being a handyman and killing people. And then also, likewise, with, Nicholas. And I still wonder, why did Nicholas get abused? Because from what we saw throughout this episode, it didn't seem like he did anything necessarily wrong. Unless, there's actually a good theory I have that just popped in my mind. in the episode, you see it to where Nicholas walks into the room. He walks in the room where you see a bunch of those Twilight guy mercenary group, drinking. They're sitting there drinking. You see a quick glimpse of it. Maybe Nicholas walked into that room and they were just so drunk they beat the fucking shit out of him because, they were drunk, and maybe his fatherly figure is a part of that group and just beat the crap out of Nicholas. That is a possibility. So yeah, there's my theories on that. Now, moving past that, we have it to where the Mafia is making some moves. They're being hunted down by this mercenary from Twilight, and it seems like Twilight's going to be one of the main antagonists of this series, especially with how they were introduced, and coming to find out that Nicholas was also a part of Twilight, and he's in the payroll of the Mafia. For instance, we see it to how the Mafia is being hunted down by a fellow Twilight member that I guess is either a new member because it's a child, and this dude is ranked A/0, and that is incredibly high because Nicholas is also the exact same rank. So this actually lets us know and clarifies that a mercenary, or someone that is a tag, can have the exact same rank as someone else. For instance, there can't just be only one A0. There can be like maybe 50 A0s. There doesn't need to just be one. So that clarifies that there is more people on Nicholas's level, and as I've already stated once before, I highly doubt A is the highest rank part of these tags. I'm going to assume that there's an S class or something, because usually when it comes to anime or different rankings, there's always usually an S class or a rank higher than what we already know of that will be shocking and unexpected later on down the road, because I highly doubt, since we're so early on into the series, that since we're already seeing like an A0, that this would be the strongest we will see yet. So yeah, that is my theory on that. So, what can I say? Gangsta, a very great episode this week, once again, impressed me, and yeah, we get some hints at some backstory, some characterization, we get, a little bit of character development, we get to see the psyche of Warwick and a little bit of Nicholas. Yeah, what's not to love? So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.